Yo, welcome back. On today's episode of Lead from the Line, we are talking about the gravel travel trap. If your 9-year-old doesn't need to fly across the country to play in a game that they could play at the park down the street, then why are you doing it? You aren't investing in their future. You're funding a tournament director's vacation. Let's be honest. Ready to level up your leadership from the ground up? This is Lead from the Line. Here's your host, Coach Mac.
Coach Mac, Coach Mac, here is your host, Coach Mac, Coach Mac.
So welcome back to Lead from the Line. I am pumped to be back for the second half of season 2. I did get messages asking, hey, where are you at? Where's the next episode? I did move 5 hours away with my family. I started a new gig, and so we were kind of in shambles. My family was 5 hours away. I was living in the city that I'm currently working, staying with some family. I did have my computer set up, but things just weren't right. You know, the setup, I didn't like my background. I didn't like the things I had going on. So I just decided, hey, I'm going to take a pause until I get where I'm going. Also, until I get back with my family. If anybody's ever been in a situation where they're away from their family, it's a lot, right? And so I was driving back every weekend, every other weekend, and things like that. And so, but I just really wanted to dive back in, and with this community, we're building this community, and it's time to turn it up. Like, I am ready to take Lead from the Line to the next level, and whatever that looks like. And again, this is not me wanting to go to the next level to be like, man, I got this fantastic, successful podcast. No, it's me wanting to stand in the gap for the youth, right? Stand in the gap for those kids who aren't getting the coaching and the development and everything they need from their parents or their coaches or both. And my job has been to post clips on the internet and make people mad. Right. And I've been doing that because, listen, I'm going to call out what I don't like. And so my mission has not changed, and it won't. Right. We're talking human first and athlete second. So we're raising children, we're raising kids, not professional commodities. And I think a lot of the times that we forget that. Now, listen, I am as competitive as the next person, but at the end of the day, I want my kids to have an identity outside of the sport they play. And the kids I coach, I want that same thing for them. I want them to be able to walk into any room they choose to walk into and be able to lead. And whatever that looks like for them in those situations they're in, right? Hey, you have a kid who's now going into middle school from elementary. I want that kid to be able to walk in there and lead and be confident, and no matter what they deal with on a day-to-day basis, they have those fundamentals and those things deep down inside of them that have been instilled in them, that they're going to do things the right way. And so, before we get in today's topic, I just want to give a massive shout out. I've had several people asking me, hey, can I get a shirt? And so there will be linked in the description, the website, if you do want to go get a shirt. We only have one shirt up there right now. We will get some more merch in there, a hat, things like that. But that would mean the world to me if you wanted to walk around with Lead from the Line on your chest, Lead from the Line on your back, and things like that. And so that's just one of the things that I'm really excited that people have asked about. Next thing is, if you're watching and you see somewhere in here, you see a subscribe, a bell, whatever it may look like on the screen, please click it. It's free to subscribe. Support is key in anything we do, and support is free. Subscribe and click that thumbs up button so you can stay up to date on anything that's going on, Lead from the Line related. And so my thing is, as we jump into this, is today we're putting, a massive spotlight on the toxic trend that is bankrupting families and burning out kids by the time they hit middle school. And we're talking about the travel ball industrial complex. I called it in the beginning the gravel travel trap. And so, when we're talking about this, every single weekend, starting on a Thursday or a Friday, I see families packing up their SUV, spending hundreds of dollars on gas, dropping crazy money on terrible hotel food, driving 6 hours to play a team that literally lives in their own zip code. Why? It's because that tournament director slapped the word elite or platinum on a plastic ring. And I know people are going to hear this, and I've seen some of the rings that these kids get nowadays, and they're absolutely fantastic. But why, right? What is really going on behind that decision to live out of a car, live out of a hotel, eat hotel food, be away from your home on the weekends for these tournaments and these things like this? And so we've allowed like an entire industry to convince us that if our kid is not playing sports year round, out of state, they're not in travel sports by the third grade, that these kids are going to fall behind. And these kids are not going to be able to compete when they get into middle school, when they get into high school, right? And I need you to hear me. Falling behind? Who? The children? They're 8, 9, 10 years old. They're not falling behind. They don't even know how to properly use their body and their mechanics for their sports and things like that. They're still learning things. They've yet to hit growth spurts, things like that. And we're talking about falling behind? No. And so the pressure that, man, this puts so much pressure on families, right? And so it's crazy. Like there's this illusion of like, you get this dream sold to you of like, hey, if your kid's not over here competing in this tournament, or your kid doesn't do this, or hey, your kid hasn't traveled to whoever, wherever by this age, you're behind. And so the thing of it is that it's like, if you don't do this, the scouts aren't going to see you. And I'm, again, 8, 9, 10 years old, and we're talking about scouts already. We're talking about who's seeing my kid play on the weekend. What scouts? There are no scouts at a 10U baseball tournament. They're not. They're just a bunch of stressed out parents sitting in folding chairs, screaming at a teenage umpire. Uh-oh. This is calling some people out, screaming at that umpire who has sacrificed their time so that these kids can play, that these tournaments can even go on. And all these videos I'm seeing on the internet of coaches attacking umpires and umpires fighting back, which they should. I think at the end of the day, I don't care if a call doesn't go your way in any situation. It is not your job as a parent, as a coach, to get up in a referee's face. If something does not go your way, that's why there are board members. You lead the right way and lead by example and go communicate with a board member, the head of the ref staff, whatever it may be. But I saw a video the other day where a coach went at the umpire and the umpire put it on him. And I laughed when I saw it, because I'm like, that's exactly what should have happened. If you're going to push up and come up at an umpire and that umpire whoops your butt, that's what should have happened. Like, come on. Should the umpire have fought back either? No. Again, you got kids watching, these 8, 9, 10-year-old kids watching us adults lead by example, and that's just not it. It just blows my mind why this is even a constant that I see every single day. My inbox is full of, man, you should react to this video. Man, you should react to that. And so that's a whole nother sidebar, but it's like, why are we screaming at these umpires who have sacrificed their time to make sure that your kids are able to play in these tournaments, right? And then at the end of the day, these families that are doing all this traveling and running around, and again, I ain't pocket watching nobody, but these families look around and they're like, dang, it's going to be tight this month because we went to this tournament. Again, that may not be you. Okay, you may have a vault full of gold coins, but some people don't. Some people sacrifice and spend every single dollar so that their kids can play sports. Now, hear me out. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that you want your kid to get the opportunity and your kid to play. But again, can they not do that down the street? Can they not play locally? Can they not get with their friends instead of you having to travel and spend all of your money and all your hard-earned time to do those kind of things? Just something I want to talk about right there. And so that labeling of the elite label is just a marketing tactic. All it is. When you see elite or platinum attached to it, all it is just to try to justify that $900 team registration fee or whatever it may be. And so my biggest thing is Why? That's the whole underlying message of this entire podcast that we're talking is, why do we feel the need that we have to do this? Again, is it that pressure of, man, I want my kid to go pro, man, I want my kid to do this, and so I got to get them in as many events as possible. But as I stated in the beginning, then you have these kids that get burned out. You know, I think sometimes we think that these kids are machines and that they can just go all day and all night, and that's just not the case. They need rest, they need time, they need sleep, so their body, they need proper nutrition so that they can grow and be who you want them to be, right? You burn that kid out, your college chances, high school chances are gone out the window. And then you look back and you're like, what did we do all this for, right? What was the benefit of that? And so the main thing too is, so what are we measuring? What is the actual thing we're measuring here, right? When it comes to sports, whatever it is, basketball, football, baseball, we love stats, we love metrics, we love all those things around it. So we measure wins, right? We measure strikeout ratio, we measure yards gained, points per game. We measure all those things in sports. But let me ask you about the number one metric that's missing. Right? All these metrics are great. Oh man, they did this, this, and this. What about that family time? That metric is missing. What about that opportunity of taking your family to church? What about that opportunity of having community and fellowship with other people in the, you know, that you're friends with, not just your baseball kids or your team that you play with. What about your neighbors? What about going out and doing community service or attending an event and helping in situations like that? What about that metric? You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't always have to be sports. I'm the biggest sports fan. Half the time I come home and my boys want to ask me, who's the greatest basketball player of all time, Dad? Who's the greatest wrestler of all time? Dad, if you were to only have one quarterback out of the entire history of the NFL, who would you pick, Dad? And my wife's like, man, you're always talking sports. And so sometimes we turn it down. So like, look, I get it. I love sports, and sports is everything. And the memories that you can create and the moments you can build from sports are phenomenal. But what about your family? What about building your family up to be the best they can be? What if you have a family where you have one kid who plays sports and one doesn't? Think about that kid who has to sacrifice everything for them. Hey man, my parents only pour into this kid. They only pour into my sibling while I'm over here and I want to do this, that, and the other, but they're so overwhelmed and consumed by baseball or travel basketball, AAU tournaments that I'm missing out. I'm just saying. You got to think about everybody involved. You really, really do. And so my wife and I, Kimberly and I have been married for 15 years. And let me tell you, managing a household with 4 kids is a logistical nightmare on a good day. You know, luckily we're at the point where we only have 2 kids with us now at home. The other 2 are older and they do their own thing. But my goodness, when we had everybody at home and we were managing sports practices for boys, and then we had band for the girls, and then we had other events going on, and this kid needed to be here while this kid needed to be here. And man, it was great that we had girls because we had to divide and conquer. Hey, could you go pick your little brother up from here? And so like, it breaks families. That takes a lot out of parents and kids and everybody. If we're bouncing here, we're bouncing there, we're like ships passing in the wind at the end of the day. And it's like, what are we missing? Are we missing those opportunities to sit down and have dinner and look your kids in the face and say, hey, how was your day? Tell me about the best thing that happened in your day. Okay, tell me about the worst thing that happened in your day. We didn't get that opportunity because we're playing baseball, we're driving around, and we're pulling in a drive-through to eat dinner at 9 o'clock, and then they're home and they're in bed, and boom, and then their grades start to suffer because they don't get all these opportunities. You see what I'm saying? It can keep going, and you're like, well, no, it's in this, and no, it's the truth of the matter. You're treating these kids like they're robots, and you're missing out on all the important things. And that's why I will never not say human first, athlete second, baby. We can do it all, but we can still do it all the right way. And so then when you talk about what is the cost of like missing those Sunday dinners, or what is the cost of the other kids, as I said, being dragged from dusty field to dusty field every single week, sitting on an iPad, sitting in the sun, they're watching their sibling play 4 or 5 games, right? You're sacrificing the stability and the peace of your entire household for something. And this is going to piss some people off for something that should just be a hobby at a young age. I will stand on this. I feel that you have that initial playing sports is a hobby. Just like us adults, I have hobbies. I love podcasting. I love fragrances. You can see my fragrances back there. I still love playing video games. This computer's here for my podcast and all my stuff and my clips, but I play video games on this thing. I love those kind of things. And so I believe a hobby is great and everybody should have a hobby. And then if you are really good at something, then as this kid gets older, you're like, hey, son, daughter, I see what you're doing here. You're good. Let's go get this, but let them lead that. Hey, I'm not taking you to this tournament because I want to. Hey, we're at the age now and we're able to do it. You want to do these tournaments. You want to compete in this. Now you're 14, 15 years old and oh, now you do have serious interest from so-and-so when you get into high school and it's, hey, you do have a scout coming to watch you. But when they're 8, 9, 10 years old, it's that fundamentals, the right way. You're laying that path for them. Every home is built on a foundation, correct? Same thing with our kids. Give them that firm foundation. That's what the Lord says. You've heard the songs, you are my firm foundation, right? Firm. Give them that foundation, right? And so parents, like they tell themselves, it's an investment in the kid's future, right? But let's talk about the real world for a second. So I've spent 12 years in the medical industry. And you know that the job that I was at, right? I gave that job everything I had. And when that season came to an end, I, you know, walked away from that situation and I was quickly seeing that even after 12 years, I was still just an employee. I was still just a number. When I decided I was going to leave my current job or my last job to take my current job or last job just was cool. See you later. Boom. We'll pay your last paycheck. We'll post your job posting the next day. And so, right, the real world does not care about your youth sports stats. The real world doesn't care how many championship rings you have right now. Okay? The real world cares about your character, your resilience, and how you treat people. And I'm going to say that again because you know that's true. The real world does not give a damn about how many trophies you have and how many rushing yards you had in youth football, how many home runs you hit in Little League Baseball, how many AAU tournaments you won. This world cares about your character, your resilience, and how you treat people. And you're pouring your entire family's financial and emotional bandwidth into an athletic investment that statistically, will not pay out, instead of investing in the human. Human first, athlete second. That is something that I will never not say. I will say it every single day. I will say it every single video I post, everything, because that is what matters most. Quit investing in your kid as an athlete and invest in them as a human. Trust me. And so one of the things that I would love to see is families take back the weekend, right? It's time to take back your weekends. So I'm giving you permission right now to say no. Hey, I'm going to set this tournament out. We're not going to play in this tournament. We just came off a 4th of July weekend. We hung out with family. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. We hung out with family. We did this, that, and the other. I'm not doing this tournament this next weekend. Family and I are going to hang out and do this. We're going to catch up on missed time together. We're going to do some work around the house. We're going to have a dinner together. We're going to communicate like family members. We're going to skip that tournament this weekend and devote it back towards our family. We're going to go to church on Sunday. All of those things like that. It's okay to say no. It's okay to not play in every single tournament. I'm giving you that opportunity to say no, right? You don't have to do it just because the other parents on your streets are doing it. You don't have to do it because the kid your son or daughter's played with forever is going. You can say, hey, this week we're going to set this one out, right? You can build a highly competitive, fundamentally sound local program in your own city without the financial gatekeeping of the travel circuit. It can be done. Coaches, this is on us. Coaches, if you believe so much in coaching kids and developing kids, you can do it. I moved, but the football program I was a part of was absolutely phenomenal. One of the best youth football programs in the entire nation. Google it. Frisco Football League. Phenomenal. And an amazing program. It can be done, just built in a backyard, and people want to play. And yes, other people want to go to these other leagues, this, that, and the other, and I get it, but no other league is ran the way this league is ran, right? It even has on the jerseys, these jerseys you see hanging on the wall, on the front tag, it says youth first, sports second. Same concept as what I'm saying, human first, athlete second. Like, it can matter. And so, in these leagues, you can focus on absolute perfection of the fundamentals, making sure these kids know how to do things. I've seen these football videos now, because that's what I'm predominantly coach. I've seen these football videos, of these kids just laying each other out with no fundamentals and then getting told to get up and do it again. Why? You shouldn't be a coach if you can't coach the right way. You're going to get one of your athletes seriously hurt. And then how do you go have that conversation with your parents? Man, I'm sorry, I didn't teach them the right way. I was posting Instagram videos and they weren't mad, but no, teach it, do it the right way, right? Your kids can play in these local leagues and they can get developed and they can sleep in their own beds, eat a real breakfast, and then their parents have money to do all the other things, right? The best coaching happens in practice anyway. Not in the fifth consolation game on a Sunday tournament. I've said this previously. If it's game time and you're trying to correct, you've already missed the opportunity. If you aren't making those corrections in practice and you're trying to do it in the game, you've messed up. You can make small tweaks in a game, yes. You're not changing habits in a game. I stand on that. And that's something I truly believe in. You are not changing habits in a game like that. And so, parents, we just have to stop letting FOMO, right? The good old fear of missing out, dictate our family schedule. So if your kid is truly a generational talent, they're going to get found whether they play in a local rec league at age 10 or the national team. And trust me, that is true. But right now, they've got to learn how to throw, how to catch, how to be a good teammate, and how to lose with dignity. I've said all the time too, you see these kids that, you see these kids that are just sore losers, fantastic athletes, but man, let a game go wrong and you see quickly how much of a sore loser they are. Let a call go against them and you see how quickly they change. And so it's like, let's teach and raise these kids to do things the right way. Teach these kids how to be everything. To be a leader in the classroom, to be a leader at home, to be a leader on the field when they are playing, and always stay right here. Never get too high, never get too low, but lead the right way. And so, man, here's your homework for the week. I want to give you some homework. I want you to audit your calendar. I want you to audit your bank account. Sit down with your spouse and ask yourself, who is the schedule for? Is it really for us? Is it just for us, or is it for our kiddo? Is it really going to benefit our 9-year-old kid, our 10-year-old kid? Or is this one just trying to make, man, my kid plays in everything. My kid's the pitcher. My kid's the starting point guard. My kid's the quarterback. My kid plays goalie. Is that benefiting you, or is your kid, is that just your ego? Really, really got to think about that. And so I'm so excited. We're going to get back to trying to get an episode out every single week. That is my plan. I'm going to try to make sure that happens every single week. So again, thank you for tuning in to the kickoff of the second half of season 2 of Lead from the Line podcast. If you would do me a favor, share this episode with a parent or a coach who is feeling burnout right now, right? Let them know that there is a better way. Go grab your merch in the link below and hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you on the next one. And as always, just remember to lead loud, lead proud. But the way we're doing it is we're doing it human first, athlete second. Catch you on the next one. Thanks for joining us on Lead from the Line. If this episode helped you, share it with one person who needs to hear it today. Join the conversation on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you on the next one.
No flags on the play, keep your vision alive. Fatherhood and football, that's how we survive.